Hello everyone and welcome back to the Aftermath series. Let us waste no time at all and dive right into this week's episode of Critical Role. So in this episode, given what the Mighty Nine did in the sewers, freeing the Merid from Algar and the city's grasp, the Merid Jundi was sort of powering the city, and now he is left. So now the city is going to be without a main power source, which we started to sort of see the effects of in the beginning of the episode, where Matt was describing that the plumes of smoke that the industrial building sort of let out, since that was their sort of power source, they started to dwindle down to just the residual smoke. So we started to see a little bit of the effects, but there are definitely going to be some consequences that we see down the line, since the city's main power source is no longer there. And speaking of Algar, or Jorge as he is now going to be called, the Mighty Nine did quite a number on him, minus Not, who seemed to take a step back at the atrocities that the Mighty Nine were doing to him. Bo sort of slamming him against the stone, Ford cutting off his arm, Caleb doing his intimidation with the octopus. It seems that the Mighty Nine are expert interrogators, and that might not sit well with Not, considering her goblin tribes may have done similar things, and we all know how she feels about her goblin brethren. So this may be a step back in the wrong direction for Not sort of fully trusting the group. And then, the Mighty Nine sent Algar / Jorge on his way to Marquette. They were able to secure passage for him, and I do not think we have seen the last of him for two reasons. One, just because I think he's going to come back 80 episodes from now. They'll recognize this Jorge sort of meandering around through a city, and they'll be like, "Hey, isn't that Algar?" I just have a feeling that might happen. But the other reason why he might come back is because he has friends in high places, I believe. Isn't he in sort of cahoots, I guess, with the Clovis Concord? I think they were the ones who put them in the position he was down in the sewers. And if he disappears and they see that the Merid is gone and the city is without power, I think the Clovis Concord are going to launch a full-scale investigation as to why this all went down. So the Mighty Nine have caused quite a bit of trouble here in Nicodranus, and it only gets worse. But one more thing I want to touch on back when they are in the sewer is Ford was able to summon a specter from one of the fallen bodyguards. Now, I wish this was brought to more light, but it sort of turned into a small joke as the episode went on, since Caduceus kept just turning the undead and then the undead ran away. So it kind of became a joke. However, I think Ford was taking it more serious. He had a very sort of blank, I guess, serious expression on whenever the Spectre came back. However, the rest, because of all the chaos that was going on at the beginning of this episode and the timeline got messed up a little bit, no one really paid too much attention to it, which is unfortunate because I believe there is an interesting story there. Why is Ford able to do this? He's able to bring back sort of this spirit of this bodyguard, and there wasn't even a conversation about it. So I really hope in future episodes he either does it again or it gets brought up, because I think there's a very interesting conversation to be had there. And then after the letter was planted and they are back up top sort of figuring out what they're going to do next, Clay went to go gather the boat that they borrowed from the old man. And in doing so, he casted calm emotions on himself to swim to the boat. Now, the obvious and probably most likely explanation is that this is just simply a new territory for him. Doesn't know. He's just receiving so much new information that he didn't have before. There's so much going on. He probably just feels a little bit stressed out and decided to, you know what, I'm going to use my abilities to just calm my mind, and we're going to get through this. That's honestly probably the most likely thing, unless he has some fear of the ocean, but he's only just now seen the ocean, so unless he's now figured out that he fears the ocean, which he might, then that would be the reason. But I think it's just because there's so much going on that he just wanted to take a moment and just calm himself. And one point of interest, back when they were sort of talking with Marion Lavour, Caleb was asking about Jester's past and how she was sort of, in her sort of upbringing and how she was as a child. Now, it's very interesting that Caleb takes particular interest in Jester's past and her well-being. He hasn't really shown too much interest in the other members of the Mighty Nine. Also mainly because the other members haven't really divulged too much information about their past. Beauregard a little bit, but we all know how Caleb feels about that. And Ford has only given a little hints. Not hasn't really, maybe she has shared a little bit with Caleb, but Jester's really the only one that has shared the most about her past. So that's probably why, but maybe Caleb also feels a bit jealous or envious towards Jester, since she had this sort of perfect, in Jester's eyes, perfect upbringing, and Caleb, well, we all know what happened with his past. But it also is probably just because Caleb is concerned about Jester. Maybe he thinks this whole happy persona she's putting on is fake. It's just a facade to sort of protect herself from what she really feels. So it's just something to pay attention to, and we'll see how it progresses as the story moves on. And an interesting little side thing, through descriptions that Matt was giving about the lighthouse sort of shining its light, revolving around, and the sound effect he used made it sound kind of like a heartbeat in my eyes. So it just made me think that the lighthouse is sort of like the heartbeat of the Earth Mother in this area. Not really anything too important, just a nice little flavor thing that I sort of thought of as he was giving the description of the lighthouse. And now we get to the part of the episode that is all the talk this week. And before we get into that, let me just say that this episode and last episode have got to be the most unlucky and just rough die rolls that we've ever had in this show, more or less. You know, in the last episode when they're in the sewers, they were trying to be stealthy when they saw the Merid and then Algar and the bodyguards, but they were seen, so they got into a huge fight. They almost died. They almost killed Algar. They freed the Merid. They shut down the city. Now they're on the docks. They don't start like a crime war. They almost blow up a ship. They steal it. They don't get any new information. It was just absolute chaos. They're now like wanted criminals. Like, oh, so much chaos these last two episodes. It's really hard to keep track of what's going on and what their main objective is, since they just keep doing so many different things. But I absolutely love it. That is what D&D is all about. And so with all that happens in that area, we do know that Marius was meeting with the hooded figures because he was meant to deliver the cat's eye crystal to them, but he didn't get it received because Ford has it. And it was in that swamp tree safe house that the gentleman sent them to go clear out. Why was it there? Why was it under the house? And does the gentleman have anything to do with it? We know he's like a water genasi, so he's got something to do with water, so maybe he's connected with this all. And why are the Iron Shepherds connected with it? There's so many like dodecahedron rays of light arcing out everywhere. Everything is connected, which is the running theme of this campaign so far. But why? Why? The real question is why. That's the one thing we don't know. Why is this all connected in a weird thing? Only time will tell, because right now we really do not have a whole lot of information, and we did not get any really new information this episode. We did learn a little bit more about the Captain Ivantika, who was regarded in the letter that sent them down to the Menagerie Coast in the first place. However, we only learned that she has a bad reputation and she's a pirate. Sort of, I guess. But they do have Marius now on their side, I guess, as they are now sailing the high seas as pirates, and they are going to live a fruitful life of plundering various villages and so on and so forth. No, they probably won't do that. But what is the Mighty Nine going to do now? They will probably try to go back into Nicodranus, since one of the guards do not know the ship's name, and given the fact that most of them have disguised self, they could just probably go back in. I don't believe the guards saw, they did see Ford, they did see Jester. However, they think Jester is dead because she charmed the three, and with her duplicate, she made the duplicate kill herself. So the guards think Jester is dead. They think a blue tiefling is dead, and if that gets spread through the city, word might get to the Ruby of the Sea, Marion Lavour, Jester's mother, that she is dead. And how devastating would that be if the Ruby thinks Jester is dead after they were just reunited for only a few days? And on top of all that's going on, the manhunt, the city is without power now. Nicodranus is in utter chaos ever since the Mighty Nine arrived, which is not a very good tribute to Molly, since Molly tried to leave every place he left better than when he arrived. So Nicodranus, they're gonna have to do quite a bit of work in order to uphold that sort of Mali tradition. So what are they going to do next? They are going to hopefully get back into Nicodranus, but then from there probably try to find Captain Ivantika. Maybe I don't know if they knew where she usually takes a port. Maybe it was Port Damali. I don't know if it was actually Nicodranus, but I think probably the next step for them is to try to find Captain Ivantika. That's really the only main lead that they have. So they might just take their ship down to Port Damali. And also, the marriage, Jundi's brother or sister is in Port Damali, and the entity said that they were going to try to free them. So it's possible the Mighty Nine will go down there and try to stop that as well. But maybe not, since they do have a reward to collect from Jundi over in his sort of palace, I guess. I assume it's probably underwater or something, so I don't know how they're going to get there. It's probably going to be something that comes into play down the line. And I assume the Jundi is going to grant them like a wish or something like that. So it'll be very interesting to see Jundi come back into the picture if they decide to go to Port Damali looking for Captain Ivantika. But that's most likely going to be the Mighty Nine's next step. It's possible that they'll just leave Nicodranus behind them for the time being until things sort of settle down. But we'll have to see next episode. Hopefully next episode isn't as chaotic, but I welcome it with open arms regardless. And with that being said, we are going to wrap up this episode. It is rather short. Through all the chaos that's happened, there wasn't too much to really talk about and to dig into. It was all sort of happening so fast. There's not a whole lot of time for things to sort of flesh out completely. So there's not a whole lot of information we can really sift through to sort of dissect and such. But it was a fantastic episode nonetheless. I really enjoyed it. Just classic D&D, things going wrong, bad die rolls. They ended up making it out there fairly well, more or less. Marius is probably scarred a little bit, but that's alright. But let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think about this episode? Did you enjoy the chaos? Do you wish the Mighty Nine sort of slowed down and thought about the consequences of their actions? Let me know. And what do you think the Mighty Nine are going to do next, now that they have sort of a lead with Captain Ivantika, even though they already knew about her to begin with? And just one other quick side thing. I've never done this before, and I typically don't like to do it. However, in regards to my YouTube channel, it's been seeing a lot of growth recently, and I'm so proud of how far we've come in just such a short amount of time, and I have you guys to thank for it. So I seriously appreciate everything you guys do, giving me the views, the comments, the subscribes, discussing the episodes. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much. You know, it feels corny to say this, but I do this because of you guys, you know, and you guys keep coming back every week to see these episodes, my highlights. It really warms my heart, so thank you so much for that. Now, my goal for the end of the year was originally, back when I first started this channel, was to get to 150 subscribers. That was it. Back a couple months ago, that was my goal. And now look where we are. We're at like over 800. So now my goal is to try to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Now, seeing the growth that we've had, I think it's probably likely that it'll happen, but who knows? So I'll need your guys' help achieving that goal. You know, I hate asking for it, but if you really do enjoy my content, feel free to hit a subscribe button, but do not feel obligated to. I'm still going to be doing this regardless. But again, thank you all so much for everything that's been going on these past couple months. I'm very grateful. And with that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next week.